Welcome to our podcasts, Wise Black Nana's Life Coaching Between the Dash. Hey, what do you do when it feels like life has thrown you a few too many challenges, knocked you down, in the bed, hard to talk about even with your best friend challenges, and it feels like the challenges are winning? Wouldn't it be nice to hear from your Nana? Or a stand-in Wise Black Nana? Well, they are Wise Black Nanas, Charlotte Walker, PhD, and Joanne Early, MS, two mature women with over 70 plus years of combined coaching and mentoring, professional human resources, and business experience. The wonderful news is, these Wise Black Nanas are still living and learning about this amazing life, about resilience and grit, gratitude and appreciation, and the extraordinary power of love and friendships, being positive and supportive, and learning from others. Welcome to Wise Black Nanas. Let's listen in.
Hi, this is Charlotte M. Walker, PhD, and coming to you today with some real life experience regarding a very interesting topic. As we promised before, we're going to give you some real life experiences that we, the Nanas, have experienced. So hold on to your seats. We'll get into more detail as we move forward. Thank you.
Hold on to your seats. That's a new one. Okay, this is Joanne, the other half of Wise Black Danas. And as Dr. Charlotte said, we talk about those life experiences, sometimes some things that we are going through in the present. So today's topic is tough love. Um, Something that, just automatically you think of as a negative thing. But our message is that it is not a negative thing, and it doesn't have to be a negative conversation. We're thinking of it in the terms of just another support, just another way to show someone that you care enough about them to be honest, even if it's one of those situations or one of those conversations where the truth hurts. So, we're going to talk a little bit about tough love on this episode.
Yeah, I think that when we have tough love, if you're in the professional world, we kind of know what that means. And personally, it can be construed as either very negative, never positive. So just giving you a quick definition of tough love. You know, tough love is an act of treating a person sternly or harshly without the intention of being mean. Okay, we want to help them to think about what they're doing in the long run. People sometimes exhibit and act up with their behavior in a way that causes others to like stand back or not want to deal with that individual.
Mm-hmm.
And it is up to uh, another party to decide whether they're going to administer tough love or walk away. And most often, I'm using a parent as an example, has to do that with a grown child or with a spouse or even other family members. Um, so we have to make a decision. The giver of the tough love has to make the decision to get that person to understand by administering tough love.
Yeah, and I think this is where it becomes very, very difficult because you're involved in some way with the person. And what the intent of this conversation is that you're trying to help the person be more responsible, maybe take a different path than the one, that they're currently on. Maybe it's about being more independent, but whatever it is, you're trying to support that person by having, an honest, a difficult, however truthful conversation with them to see if can't bring about or promote some personal development and growth. You're just trying to help them be able to maybe make better choices. Um, just take a different path, but you want to do it and approach it certainly, in a respectful way, with empathy so that it doesn't feel like it's an argument, um, or that you're against them or that you're, trying to force them into, into some choice or some decision, right?
Right, right. Tough love, as Joan had stated, and I have stated earlier, it can be used in many types of scenarios, and often they are not nice ones. We have to the giver has to kind of get their courage up and to
Mhm.
formulate a plan to
Yep,
give
yep,
this give this news to the recipient who we know already has behavior or attitude or whatever kind of situation. So, as a parent, we have to do that. We have to decide how we're going to formulate this tough love so that it's a teaching lesson,
hmm
uh, or how are we going to relate it so that it can change the behavior, hopefully, of the
hmm
individual, or
hmm
how it's going to improve that behavior or attitude or personality, excuse me, or how to make the right decision. Everybody is not your friend. Kind of convey that. And I think as young people, sometimes everybody is your friend, so you don't listen to your parents.
Young and old people.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, right. Because there are some people in our era that have to give tough love too. So I have a number of experiences with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Tough love is usually seen as a positive due to it makes the recipient think. They may not take action, may not use the tough love methods or advice, but the positive impact is that we have the receiver has delivered, and that person hopefully thinks about what has been said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So tough love is a message. And of course, as we were talking about this, we kind of wonder where the heck did this come from? It's certainly been a phrase that, or term of, sentence that's been in our lives as long as I can remember. So of course, we went looking back to see where is this a real phrase? Is this something real? And we found that this phrase was coined by a guy whose name is Bill Milliken. And he wrote a book back in 1968. I know that's dating a lot of us, but 1968. Um, and the actual name of the book is Tough Love. It is still available out there, and where you get your books. Most of us get our books these days. But his whole message was again around delivering a message around support, trying to provide some guidelines around when is the best time to deliver this message, what kind of frame of mind the deliverer should be in, because that's real important. If you're in a funk or you're in a bad mood or in a place that's not exactly good, chances are it might not be the best time to deliver a message of support to someone else. You need to be in a, or we need to be in a, not you, I mean, including myself, we need to be in a supportive mood. Because sometimes, while the message and the intent, and you could have the best intent in the world, it can backfire. It can backfire on you. Just sometimes it could be perceived as that you're not trying to help someone, that maybe we're not in the right place, either. It could be perceived as abusive, demeaning, insulting, and threatening. So we need to be really, really careful and think through what's the message, what's the environment, who am I delivering this to, what are the circumstances? Because you're trying to be a real friend or a real supportive relative, and you know it's important to speak up, draw some light to whatever the situation or the condition is when it counts. that there's
Yeah.
so much that needs to be taken into consideration.
Oh, yes. And I just want to add to what you're saying, Joanne, is that sometimes we are too close and we may need to consult someone else on how to apply the tough love or maybe bring somebody in to do the tough love. That's a possibility.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah,
yeah,
it's a hard choice, a hard decision, but we have to make sure that we leave that option open so we can make sure that the receiver understands that it's all for them, no matter which way it comes. Okay. That's why tough love is very difficult to do. I'm sure that each of us has had an opportunity or many opportunities to deal with this type of decision. Um, it's a hard one to make personally for me.
hmm
It's really hard, especially with personal or family members to give that tough love, especially since I am considered the oldest of the tribe or the family.
You
So
mean the matriarch?
yeah, well, I didn't want to say that. That sounds so old. I know I'm older of the family, so a lot of those tough love discussions have to come from me. And I'm
Yeah,
going like, why can't you do it? No, it sounds better coming from you. But anyway,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh,
And then how does that make you feel sometimes when you feel like, gosh, I'm always gotta be the deliverer of the tough
well,
love?
it makes me feel really, in some instances, alone
Mm,
because I may not be close to the situation enough
right,
to really have a bond with the person that I got to talk to or the person I have to consult with to to demonstrate how to have that conversation. So it's a kind of a gap for
mm-hmm.
me because I feel like I don't really know the person. I have so many nieces and nephews that and great nieces and great nieces that I'm so apart from them. I can't really give them justice as far as tough love. So
Right,
that
right.
I'm it's disjointed for me. So
Got
uh,
it.
on some occasion, I can't do that because I don't know the person. I don't know what they're going through. I don't know why or they're doing that behavior.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe my close siblings, I could have a better idea, but the nieces and nephews and greats, it's more difficult to do
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It seems to help when you do have a relationship with the individual because I think there's a certain, I hope anyway, that you'd have a certain, I can only talk about, my situation, is that there certainly seems to be a certain level of respect that more than likely you're going to get from the individuals that you're talking to. Doesn't always work though, because sometimes, when everyone's an adult and you're imparting this message like I said, tough love doesn't always work. It doesn't always work. It's not always received well. But I do think, based on your relationship with the individual,
Hmm.
if it's a good, solid, coming from love kind of a place, coming from a support place, I think most individuals would be or are receptive to at least hearing what you have to say. Um,
I agree with you to a certain extent. I think this is where we get into, and people laugh when I say this. This is when you have to make a decision when you're relaying that message, or do you have to give a strong yes, or you have to give a hard no to that
mhm.
individual, and you have to stick to those one or the other. And I know that that sounds really strange, but a strong yes, yes, I will support you and help you do this. And a no is no, I'm not going to do that. And you're not going to change your mind, no matter how guilt they can make you feel, or, like, is it can I stop doing that now? Or,
Mhm.
I did it for a week. Is it okay now? That's where the hard no comes in because it takes more than a week to correct some behavior or whatever you're doing. So
Yeah.
that's the reason
Yeah, I
for that.
see that. Yep. I can definitely go along with that. I definitely see that.
Yeah, as we said, some of the tough love is really our adult children who may not want to be adult, or the ones that they look at the numbers as far as like I'm 18, I'm grown, or I'm 19, I'm grown, or I'm 15, and I can't wait till I get 18 so I can get out this house. Not
Hmm.
understanding or realizing the hardships that are out there or how good they have it. There's also, our elderly parents or folks who, may have some medical or mental issues
Yeah.
that,
And not dealing with them.
yeah,
Not dealing
they're
with
all
them.
right. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And,
It's real easy to say I'm okay. I'm
mhm,
fine.
yeah.
I'm fine. And you're really not, and you're really,
And,
really
yeah,
not.
and the guilt comes from you as a younger person saying, I know this and this is my parent or this is, someone that you respect. How do you go about applying that without
Right.
having
Right.
the guilt? And of course the relationship, your spouse, whatever
Right.
partner,
Right.
whatever you want to call them, all that kind of stuff.
Right. So just
Yeah,
how do you have that? So just how do you have how do you, just how do you have that conversation? And thinking about that, and we've touched upon some of these points already, but just to be a little more specific, is that how do you have that conversation? Is that make sure it's the right time. Make sure that it's the right time and that you want to be specific. You want to be specific in what you're talking about. You don't want to be all over the place or ambivalent about what, you want to talk about. You want to express what the concern is and try not to use, judgment.
mm-hmm.
And one way to do that is by using I statements instead of you, because that feels like you're, someone being somewhat being demeaning when you use you statements but use the I statements that this is
Right.
what I think, this is what I see, this is what I've observed. Try not to be defensive or attacking or threatening or angry as you're having the conversation because that all transfers in what you're saying. And sometimes it's not so much the what you're saying, it's the how you're saying it.
Absolutely,
It's the
absolutely.
how you're saying it. And you want to practice active listening and offer support. Let the person know I am bringing this up because I care about you. I love you. I'm concerned about you. And let the person know that you're supportive and that you can count on. They can count on you to help. Now, we have to make sure that we are ready to help when the person comes to help. So think about those offers of, I'll be here for you. You can count on me. You can always call me. So just think about what that really means and make sure that, we're ready to step up to that. So those are just a few little tips on, how to have or how to even get ready to have that tough love conversation.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, no judgment, trying to have a judgment. It's hard as a parent, though. I can say that it's hard as a parent or
Oh yeah.
someone in authority just not to go in and say, you're going to do this, 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 and this. It's very, very difficult
Very,
to
very
do that.
difficult. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. And as we said earlier, sometimes individuals just don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. So be prepared, be ready for some resistance, some pushback, and also be prepared for some, anger, denial, that kind of thing. Don't push so hard. Know when to stop. Know when to stop, regroup, figure out, okay, what's my next approach?
yeah,
And be prepared to de-escalate the situation if it gets, volatile or gets into an angry exchange. Give the person some space.
yeah.
And you know what? Just accept maybe this isn't the right time or the right message or whatever, that we just might not be able to control this.
Yeah. One of the things is that we must uh not let our control take over the situation because we are the higher authority
Yeah,
that we think is,
yeah,
we need to acknowledge and have acceptance of whatever decisions happen, whether they're in agreement with us
yeah,
or with that individual. So that whatever the tough love result is, you know,
yeah,
don't force a change. Yeah,
yeah. Because actually, once you've did your, done your planning, had your conversation or didn't have your conversation, you have to think about the then what scenario, you know, then what for you? How is it going to make you feel to have this conversation? What are you going to do next? What's your internal checkup? And then you may want to evaluate next steps. What happens if the individual doesn't, um, you know, maybe can start making better choices? What are the next steps?
correct.
And then thinking about the well-being for not just the other individual, what about your well-being? How are you going to
Absolutely.
feel about yourself after you tried and perhaps can't see that, that the tough love conversation is working or the advice is working? How are you going to answer the question, am I okay? Or will I be okay if X, Y, or Z happens? I
Correct.
think sometimes, that's kind of a key thing that's left out of the whole tough love talk is the relationship after.
Correct. Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
the relationship going to be after? So lots of things to think about.
Yeah, I think that's where that we forget one piece. You talked about well-being and everything that we do, we kind of forget that it impacts our well-being, our health, our mental health, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So
Mm-hmm.
this is where self tough love comes into play because we have to make sure that we take care of ourselves. So we have to give ourselves tough love by not going too overboard, not getting too involved, not getting upset,
Yeah.
not making sure that we don't just stand our ground so hard that we're stressed. Our mental health is impacted.
Yep.
And self love is a word. I looked it up. So I feel at first I felt like tough love, is that a word? And it is a word.
Oh yeah, it was going back a long time ago. A
But I
long.
never thought of it really a lot for myself. I know about tough love. But from my perspective, I have personal, right, recent experience with the self tough love. Just not giving you all of the details, but I have a great grandson who is since he's been 17, he's been I can't wait till I get 18. I can do this, I can do that. And he has been, excuse my French, hell on wheels that when he gets 18, he is grown. Okay. So
Hmm.
and he really is a child of entitlement. Anything he has want, because he's the first grandchild, he has gotten, you know, he has gotten. And now that we look back, nah, maybe we shouldn't have, but we did.
Right.
And so it's just been a conversation of tough love for to him from his mom, his dad, from me. And it's just like it's not working. So he got to be 19 and he's grown. But he didn't see the other part of being grown was being self-sufficient.
Right.
But to him, he's grown, so he doesn't have to do what any of the other adults in his life required him to do. So he took it upon himself to, I'm trying to be nice here, um, to do some things that brought harm to his mother and also to me, which resulted in him being incarcerated. But he is grown. But once he got into this situation, he wanted assistance from the people that he hurt. So he was disrespectful, um, and a lot of other things, just behavior. With that came, a lot of guilt from his mom about what she did, how she did, what she did for him, and also for me, because he didn't want it for anything. So had a lot of stress, a lot of guilt on what did I do wrong, and it took me a while to realize that I didn't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do anything wrong. Um, I had to I had to release and let him be grown.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's grown in a hotel that he can't afford. And his desire was to ask me if he could come live with me. And I told him no, because he never apologized. He has no remorse. He doesn't remember anything that he did. And under the circumstances, he cannot be at my residence or his mom. So he's grown. I basically said he's grown and he has to. So that's tough love and also self to love for me, that I didn't do anything wrong. So I'm getting better and I'm accepting that. So that is my little story about, self tough love. And we all have to remember that we have to do that instead of stewing in our guilt, or I should have did this or I should have did that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm living with my decision, and can't say I'm happy, but I'm okay.
Okay.
And I think that's the human way, and that's my experience. So, Joanne.
Wow, thank you for sharing that, that story and that experience that's very real and, very present in your family's lives right now. Again, as we've said throughout this episode, this is a very difficult and tough thing to do. It's really hard to give this message, and it's really hard to receive this message. And we're hoping, again, in closing, we're hoping that the information that we've shared with you on this episode and the references back to our own personal experiences will be helpful to someone. Um, that's our episode today on Tough Love. Let's see. Our Nanaism for today is in the garden of tough love. Love is a strength that nurtures growth. And this is a quote that we picked up from a site that we use frequently, quotes.com. So, Dr. Charlene, I thank you for listening in on this episode. We know this podcast is not for everybody, but we know, and we know it is for a lot of somebodies, a lot of somebodies. So, thank you again for tuning in, and be sure to keep listening. Thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to any comments on our Facebook, IG, and YouTube. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into our podcast, Wise Black Nanas. New programs of Wise Black Nanas are on the 1st and 15th of each month. Listen in as you learn more about Wise Black Nanas, Dr. Charla Walker and Joanne Early. They are everyday nanas. They are not famous, not celebrities or rich, well, rich in life and its experiences. We want you to come back. Tell your friends. So, look for Wise Black Nanas podcast wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Learn more about them and the coaching services they offer at www.wiseblacknanas.com.